Good evening, people. It is Tuesday, April 12th, 2022. Welcome to the Keeping It Real Conversation Show with your host, Camila, aka Sunshine. We are live on Twitch, we are live on Twitter, we are live on YouTube, which is the name of the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. Normally, I would also be on Facebook Live, but on Carton, I'm in Facebook jail. So I have 17 more days to go before I get out of Facebook jail. Yeah, they petty. However, again, my show believes in 6 degrees of separation. You are one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. It is a proven fact since this show has begun. Tonight, I have a phenomenal gift from God. Um, I love music, in and out. I saw him and some other of my favorite singers on Instagram. And I said, wow, who did this? I need him. And it was all my favorite team 90s black TV sitcoms themes that he just destroyed. So we're about to get into this bio because I'm interested. Man, oh, that's all I'm gonna tell y'all. So Armand is a bass singer, songwriter, producer, and Grammy-nominated arranger who resides in Nashville, Tennessee. The Maryland native has performed with Take Six, Quincy Jones, Ludacris, Michael Bublé, and Coldplay. His acapella singer career professionally began when he became a member of the vocal band Naturally Seven. It was with Naturally Seven that he was offered the opportunity to tour and perform on 6 continents. Understand the workings of major record deals, writing a song entitled Need You With Me that landed a top 10 spot on the U.S. Billboard Smooth Jazz chart. He was a member of the inaugural Grammy Next program in Nashville. Armand has done session work for Disney, EA Sports, Word, Robert Rudolph, and is the bass singer for the YouTube sensation Peter, is it Hollins?
Peter Hollins, yeah.
Along with session work, Armand has recorded 2 audiobooks, volunteer teaches at a songwriting class for middle schoolers at a local preparatory school on a weekly basis, and is now a member of the Street Corner Symphony. And he runs, and I said, and on top of all of that, he runs his own record label, Hutton Records. His upcoming album, Flip Intro, highlights his vocal arranging and is centered around television theme songs. So, you guys, I want you to welcome Armand Hutton to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Good.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you.
So, as I was stating, I was flipping through Instagram, which I often do, to find new talents. And I ran across, I love Amber Bullock, first of
all. Okay.
She is from Sunday's Best to R&B. She can do it all.
Yep.
She's so underrated. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So when I saw her, I didn't care if she was singing an ABC song. It did not matter. I was going to tune in. And lo and behold, she was doing a theme song. And then from that video, I went and it led me to your page, which made me look at more people who are doing that I'm assuming selected to do these theme songs. And
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I got to reach out. And which landed us here. So, sir, I want to thank you in advance for all the wonderful things that you have done with what I saw so far is
Man,
totally amazing.
thank you so much. Thank you. So it's just a blessing to be able to do that stuff and for people to hear it and to be recognized for it and to sit down and talk with you is this is great.
So, um, when I see people do those type of things, it puts me in the mindset of I think it was a show called The Sing Off.
Mm-hmm.
They do the all the voices and instruments with their vocals
Yeah.
versus actually using instruments. And of course, the ones that really stood out and who won, I think first season, if I'm not mistaken, Pentatonic, right? Was that second season?
Pentatonics won, I think maybe season 4.
Or
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4. Pentatonics won. The first season was a group named Nota. Second season was a group named Committed. Um, and the third season, maybe Pentatonics won the third season, but I know the the seasons that well because I currently the season the group that won the second season Committed were we went to the same college, Oakwood College in Huntsville. But they were a little bit younger than me. But to see them on such a national stage was amazing. And of course, all of anybody associated with that college was pulling for them. And I ended up arranging a song for them and got a Grammy nomination for it. So the Grammy nomination that I got was for a song that I did for Committed. And then fast forward a few years later, I end up singing with the group that came in second place to Committed, called Street Corner Symphony, and that's the group that I'm in. I'm in now, and we're based here in Nashville. So I kind of know a little bit of the history of that show, the Sing Off, and all the while, when it first started, I was in another group called Naturally Seven, and we did a bunch of. It was acapella, and we did this style called vocal play, in which we not only imitated instruments, but we physically became the instrument that we were imitating and trying to sound like. So there's a big tie to that television show, The Sing Off.
which is amazing because I listen when I do these is all God, right? I
Yeah,
don't do research, I don't do anything, so it's all. So I had no clue of what you just said,
yeah.
first of all, and it's amazing how this all connects because I had no idea. Third of all, I used to live in Huntsville.
Get out of here.
Yes, I lived in Huntsville for 10 years,
When were you there?
2005 to 2014.
Oh yeah, well we definitely overlapped. I was there from 2003 to probably about 2010. And you mentioned Amber. That's where I met Amber, was at Oakwood College. We were in the same choir together. And that choir, called the Oakwood College Aeolians, um, had a lot of incredible singers. And I was in there as a bass singer, but really as an arranger. And a lot of the people that were in school with us, Amber and I went live a couple of weeks ago and talked about how much of a training ground it was just being in that choir. Of course, you make friends in college and stuff, but Oakwood was almost like, I don't know if you remember the movie Fame. It was almost like that, where you just had people with an incredible amount of talent, who weren't necessarily competing with each other, but we definitely pushed each other and we definitely learned from each other. So, if you can imagine, and I told Amber this when I was in school, with the musical background that I have and blah, 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 she very quickly became one of my favorite singers of all time and is the same to this day. So what you said about her is I share the same sentiment in that she was as good as she is now. She was singing like that when we were in college. So just to the mind blowingness of listening to someone do that. And it's crazy, like you said, how God works, because you learn from all of these people that you're surrounded by. I didn't know Amber when she was in St. Louis. These weren't high school friends. These were people that I met in college, and
Mhm.
I am as musical today, not just because I was in Huntsville at Oakwood, but because I was in Huntsville at Oakwood with those individuals. And so Amber will always have just that special place in my heart. And going to the medley, I'm sorry if I'm jumping around, but going to the medley, a lot of those people were indeed handpicked, and it was a result of Oakwood College. Mark
Wow.
and Joey, who's singing the group Take Six, and who originally sang on the Martin theme song. I became friends with them and almost family to this point because of the whole Oakwood connection. Same deal with Shalea Frazier. She went to Oakwood. She was a little bit older than me, but she was at Oakwood, and Oakwood wasn't a big school. You know, it was a HBCU, and if you knew somebody, you kind of knew everybody. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and so it was a small family like that. So Shalea was a part of it, and Amber, the Juzang sisters who sang Sister, Sister and all that. They
Mm-hmm.
were a little bit younger than me, but again, it's just amazing to see how all of these people after Oakwood became, household names. And I was able to just make quick phone calls and say, hey, I'm doing this thing. You want to be a part of it. So it's just amazing how God works, and it all worked together for that medley.
Absolutely. Funny. Um, I think I've been trying to. I think on Instagram, try to get in touch with Amber because I know she has a story to tell and
Yeah.
knows what this is. I just don't talk to you about how I know you or what drew me to you, but then there's the whole conversation of people knowing you in your totality,
Yeah,
which is the gift that you have.
exactly.
Um, so who knows how that's going to work out. But however, just to know that we were in the same state, same city,
It's crazy.
I had no clue, no idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I was there. Basically, my former father-in-law wanted to move back to Alabama, so we did.
Okay.
I didn't go to college there, but I was in a ministry, and I knew a lot of students. Remember West Corporation?
Yeah, yeah.
I used to work there, so a lot of the students worked there part time, basically. So
Wow.
a lot of them went to Oakland,
Yeah.
and so a lot of it's so a lot of that I found out about, the city. Most of it, like I said, those who was um just trying to have something in their pocket, they all worked at West or they
Wes, yeah.
worked at Direct TV.
I definitely
So
remember that. Yeah. I was
yes,
very close to coming for a job. And then I joined this group Naturally Seven, my senior year of college. But I was very close to coming to West. I had a lot of friends who went that direction.
yes, that's really funny. So let's go back to your beginnings.
Okay.
So in your home, was there a nature of music
Man.
or what
Yeah.
was it?
Yeah, definitely. My mother is a professional gospel singer to this day.
Mhm.
And so when I was very small, and I would go around the country with her, as she would perform at different concerts and whatnot in different churches around the country. I would travel with her, and sing with her. Before my voice dropped down to bass, I was singing with my mother. As a matter of fact, my very first recording was at the age of 4 years old, on a recording that she did. Um, and then my voice dropped, and I thought the world was done, and I wasn't going to do anything in music or ever again.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I picked up the bass guitar. I picked up the bass guitar, and then I would play for her concerts. And so we listened to all sorts of music, definitely gospel in the house. Um, but she just loved so many different styles of music. And I really accredit her, to this day, for giving me not just a love for performing and singing, but for listening to a wide variety of music. I mean, she was listening to everything: Simon and Garfunkel, the Beatles, and of course, all the black R&B. Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson and Earth, Wind and Fire, and but then she would also listen to groups like the Gaither Vocal Band, the contemporary Christian stuff and
Mhm. Mhm.
Southern gospel. And I mean, she listened to everything. We listened to everything in the house. There really wasn't the religion that I was, Seventh Day Adventist, we were coming out of being very, very strict musically. And my mom never adhered to that. So I was very blessed to have both parents who listened to everything and didn't say, oh, well, you can't listen to that. I think the only time that I ran into an issue with my parents in terms of what I was listening to was rap. And I'm talking about like Bone Thugs and
NWA type
Harmony.
stuff.
Yeah, and NWA. I was a big Bone Thugs and Harmony fan. I remember having to hide the record, from my mom, and she found it, was like, what is this? And I tried to explain, they're a positive rap group, and so that was the only time that I would ever like kind of run into issues, and she would always make me explain, if I'm listening to a love song, well, what are they really talking about? And as a sixth grader, seventh grader, explaining to my mom, well, they're talking about sex. It could be
Right, right, right.
kind of weird to talk about that. And so that was the only time that we kind of ever like bumped heads in terms of what I was listening to. But we were very open in the house. And I think that allowed me years later to explore different genres in my arranging and in my singing. So yeah.
Wow, that's good. So, most times, um, I've been doing a study or reading, researching that youth that get exposure to their talents early are almost 90% um, high graduation. Um, they're most likely to stay out of trouble,
Mm,
most likely to achieve whatever their goals are,
mm-hmm.
go to college or whatever their terms are, and actually 90% will return to younger students what they've already learned.
Wow. Wow.
So being exposed to um, the arts early
Mm-hmm.
um, gives us an opportunity to be creative on a whole nother level. Like
Exactly.
when I talk to people who are in the arts, most of the time, especially with music, it's we are sort of free spirited
Mm-hmm.
because of what we're listening to, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's us reflecting on ourselves to dig deep, to reflect or to um show the world what's inside of us through our art. And so, when did you know that music was it for you?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think that in high school, um,
Don't tell
like
me
I
it was to get some girls.
no, it never was that, because like I said, when my voice dropped, um, I didn't think that there was a avenue for a bass singer. All I knew was that there weren't a lot of us. Even in elementary, high school, my voice dropped at 11. So early on, I realized, okay, well, there's not a lot of people who sing bass, but then I turn on a record and I don't really hear people singing this low. Even Barry White, he'll talk low, but he's not really singing low for a bass, and there weren't many people who went out and had that career. So I just didn't think that it would be a career choice until high school. And I started arranging and I realized, okay, outside of singing, I can still do music, but there was a lot of stuff in high school that was in my head um, that I couldn't get out because I just didn't have the proper schooling. I went to just a regular high school. I didn't go to like a magnet or a music school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Oakwood and I had fallback minors and fallback, like I double majored in music theory and shoot, I can't even remember, computer science. And I was so bad at computer science, so bad. As I was always a good student in high school, and things came really easy to the point where I didn't really have to study to get like a 3.5, 3.6 GPA. I go to college and now I'm having to study harder in order to maintain a high GPA. And I'm like, I don't even like this. The only thing that I like is music. I found myself skipping other classes just so I could practice the piano because I felt like I said, once I got to Oakwood, there were geniuses at that school. And so I just felt like I was behind. So I found myself skipping other courses to practice and to study music. Um, but it didn't really hit me until maybe my second or third year that, okay, I'm going to go into music as a profession because nothing else seems to work. I don't want to do computer science. I don't want to do business management, which, I tried to have these fallback things and nothing worked. Um, and I think what I would have gone into it and made the decision a little bit earlier if it weren't for the fact that, like I said, my mother was a professional gospel singer, and I realized, okay, we're not poor, but we're also not like rich, and unless like you have a crazy amount of albums sold, music doesn't necessarily always pay the bills. I witnessed my mom take odd jobs and do different things in order to make ends meet and help my dad, and I realized, okay, well, if I want to make money, maybe music is not the thing to do. I'll keep it as a hobby. But by the time I got to college, like I said, I just couldn't shake it. So my initial intention was to go to Berkeley in Boston and pursue film scoring. So I would write the music for movies and do all that. And then so that was my goal, to get my degree and then go to Berkeley. And it was literally just because I felt like after I got my degree at Oakwood, I don't know what else to do. So obviously more school could help me delay that.
Right.
But then Naturally Seven called, which was the group that I sang with, and they were a professional acapella group. They were actually making money. They were touring all over the world, and they called me in my senior year, and I said, "Shoot, well, they're singing for a living and making money. I could not only support myself, but I could help support my mom and my sister, and I could actually make good money just performing. I'm going to take that opportunity." And so that was right when they called me, and I went and I interviewed with them. Those guys lived in Atlanta at the time, and I interviewed with them. And the next day I had class in Huntsville, and I was literally sitting in class looking outside the window like, I don't have to be here right now. Like I could be touring the world. Um, and that's what happened. I ended up one day in class, the next day on a tour bus in Switzerland, touring. And that's when I realized, okay, yeah, this is what my life is going to be. I'm going to use this. I don't know what's going to come. I was 21 years old, definitely still a kid by some people's estimation. But I was like, okay, I can sing for however long, but I'm going to use this to um, parlay into something else musically. But at that moment, I realized I will always be doing music professionally.
Music. So how did they know about you? Or did Naturally Seven?
Good question. That's a good question because, again, like I said, Oakwood was I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. That's my religion. And Oakwood is a Seventh-day Adventist school.
Right.
And so there's a rich tradition in acapella. Before I was born, um, I don't even think that drums were allowed in the church. We weren't necessarily allowed to have a lot of instruments. So that's why there are all of these acapella groups springing up. And then Take Six happened in the 80s. And that's when everybody was like, oh, you can make it singing acapella, like you could be a real thing. And then boom, there was just an influx of acapella groups. Naturally Seven, even though I didn't know those guys, they're at Seventh-day Adventists as well. And so when their bass quit, they made a phone call down to Huntsville, Alabama, to friends and family, just saying, hey, we need a bass singer. Do you happen to know anybody? It trickled to me. And a couple of people said, this is the guy that you want to have in the group. Because I'd started groups at Oakwood. I had sung with different groups at Oakwood. So I made a small, like I said, it wasn't a big school. So I made a little name for myself. Um, and they said, this is the guy that you want. And that's how I got the call from them.
So people, I want y'all to understand the intro of the show also says that, you're I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're
Yeah.
literally one person away,
Definitely.
one advice away, one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. He
Yep.
just proved it again
Yep.
that this happens. Like it's nothing that of our own at all. It's
Right.
just you're in the right place at the right time, meeting the right person just when you need it. Like
Yeah.
I'm having this conversation with him and I'm bringing up how I love Amber Bullock and he's cool with her. Like,
Yeah.
what? I, okay. Not knowing that he was in Huntsville when I was there.
Hmm.
Um, like this is really blowing my mind. Like
Yeah.
seriously. So
And it's not like, we were in LA at the same time or we were in New York City at the same
no,
time. This is Huntsville, Alabama we're talking about,
I
So
haven't been back in since 2014. I need to go back because I know so many people down there. I think when I left, they were getting ready to build the FBI headquarters right
okay.
off the military base.
I know for a fact it's definitely grown.
Oh,
Last time I was
absolutely.
there was probably 2019 before the pandemic because Oakwood has, their alumni weekend every year, which is like homecoming.
Mhm.
And they have, I think it's coming up this week, but I'm not going down just because I just don't feel like being around so many people. But I usually do end up going back down to Huntsville at least once a year just for that. And it's a different city. I think that you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy to seeing the growth from the time that you were there till now. It's very nice actually.
I re- when I first got there, it was funny because I was like, "Why are they clubbing in the Walmart parking lot?" Right?
Yeah, my goodness.
And I wasn't used to, even though I wasn't in clubs, but a lot of that stuff were closing early. I'm
Yeah.
like 9 o'clock. When the club closed that early? Like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah,
And then
Huntsville.
after time, I was living. What street was I? I was living on the side in the apartments. I think it's right where Shatters, the restaurant that
Okay.
they built.
Yeah.
And I was on that side street, and right behind Shredders, there somebody owned some cows. So when we first got there, our neighbors, you could walk on the side street and there were cows right there, and I'm like, I'm a city girl. What in the world is this?
Yep.
And then he would tell us that he was getting ready to sell the meat, and
Mm.
so we would eventually see less cows and then it would be another set and be like, oh, so this is what he does for a living.
Wow.
And so it was a different culture shock
Yeah.
from the city of Detroit
Yeah.
to Huntsville. Because in your mind, in these movies and the books, you think everything is dirt road, and it's
Yeah.
not. And so over time they started, building, building, building. Huntsville really became like, this ain't country at all. I don't know what y'all thought, but this one is not it. Plus,
Definitely.
with the military base at the time, you had so many influx of people from all over the world.
All over the world. Yep.
And so I was a lot around a lot of military people, which
Mm.
got me to see a whole nother side of life through
Gotcha.
them.
Gotcha.
Um, Again, I appreciate to be able to have a conversation that I find that every time I have these conversations, find out we have more in common than we do different.
Yeah.
And that's when we find out in conversations that not only in the love of music, but to transition it to um everyone,
Yeah.
every age. It doesn't matter. We all have something that we can relate to with music. Again, arrangement, sir. And what I saw, um, there's another guy. I can't think of his name right now. Uh, Kevin. He does the same thing, kind of like what you do. He
Okay.
splices the music together and do a
Yeah.
whole um Kevin Ross.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Kevin Ross. Yeah, the R&B singer.
So
Yeah.
that was the first person I think I kind of noticed those type of.
Got
Like,
you.
oh, that's good. He really can.
Yeah, he's nice. He's nice with it. Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so and at the same time he's doing um his own albums and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But I recognized him off of IG doing that type of, splicing, putting the music together. And when I heard especially when you can relate to these TV shows that you grew up on,
Yeah.
and then there's the whole point you can't mess it up because those are classics that
Classics,
you
man.
definitely cannot mess it up. If anything, it it took the age, I'm gonna say that. It took the age off the show and brought it up to 2022.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's the tricky thing with that medley because, like you said, there's such a nostalgic factor. People know those songs in and out. You grew up listening to these songs. You almost heard them at least, once or twice a week at least. Um, and so they know these songs. And so people ask me all the time, well, how come you didn't have this song in there or that song? I wanted to choose songs that I grew up listening to, songs that I had an attachment to. I didn't really grow up watching the Jeffersons. I didn't grow up watching 227. That was a little bit before my time. I watched the shows after, and there were great, wonderful shows, but I needed to start with something and take it through all the years that I really enjoyed watching TV. So I had to start with the Cosbys, and I had to have Amen in there, and shows that were really near and dear to my heart. And like you said, there's a fine line to walk when it comes to making them close to the original, but then also adding like cool different elements to it. You don't want to stray too far, especially, well, at least with this medley, you don't want to stray too far because people know these songs in and out, and so you want them to be able to sing along. But I was very concerned that um, I was very concerned that a 7 minute long medley wouldn't hold people's attention. So it was very important to me to, one, keep the songs short, but then to also have, you have the cool element with me singing all the parts and stuff, but the real kicker was having all of the guest vocalists on. So yeah, these are familiar songs. One, that's going to keep your attention, but then trying to figure out, okay, who's singing next or who's doing the next thing, that'll keep your attention too. And so it was a real fine line to walk. It wasn't an easy thing to do, to just put a medley together of songs that people like. I wanted to keep it interesting, and I wanted to keep it familiar. And really and truly, it's from an album that I have coming out called Flip Intro that's going to be out May 6th. And really and truly, this medley is the only song on the album that is close to the original. I wanted this to be the thing that kind of drew people
Drew you
in,
in. Mm-hmm.
kind of let people know who I was, what I was doing, and then also to have all my friends kind of hop on and sing along with it. And so this kind of was the thing that kind of got people. But I just put out another one, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, which is totally different from the actual theme song. So with the medley, I tried my best to let you know that I arrange, that I do all the parts and all that stuff, but to allow you to be able to sing along and to kind of keep it close to the original. So
So
that was
with
a big
that
deal for
one,
me.
how long did it take you to do that one?
The medley,
Mm-hmm.
shoot. Well, from inception, I had a friend of mine, because I was working on so many other arrangements. I had a friend of mine kind of hop on and help me with a lot of the arranging, and he's an expert in medleys. To do a acapella medley, sometimes you have to know your limitations, man. Sometimes you have to know. I'll dive in, and there's certain moments in this medley where if you know me as an arranger, you're like, okay, well, that was definitely Armand. Um, but there's certain things when it comes to a medley that it's a science to it. So I had my friend Tom jump in, and we started talking about this, and I gave him the instructions probably in 2018. And so from the time that it took me and him to arrange it, and then that it took me to sing all the parts, and then to get everybody on it, um, and then to uh, do the video. Like, we didn't finish the video until, what are we, 2022 right now? We didn't finish the video until February, probably about 2 weeks before that medley came out, which it came out the first week of March. So from 2018 to February 2022, that's almost a little bit over 3 year process from the inception, from the idea to the end of the video being done. And I think that it took that long simply because just getting everybody's schedule. There's 12 guests on this record and 12 people, 12 individuals who have their own schedule. You know, they're not just sitting at home twiddling their thumbs. They're going on tours, they're singing on other people's records, you know. So to get their schedule involved, and I don't care that they're friends of mine, you know, I still am very respectful of the fact that they have lives. You know, they're not going to stop everything just to be on my little song. So it was about a three and a half, three over not 3.5, but about over 3 year process from inception to the end of the video.
Wow.
Yeah, it took time. It took time. And I will say that the pandemic helped because I was able to get of their a lot of their files because they did have to stop touring. Like people like Eric Roberson and Shalea and Amber, you know, a lot of these people tour, you know, they travel, they sing for a living. There's not a lot of time to just stop and knock something out. Mark and Joey Kibble, you know, from Take Six, these people are working. So when the pandemic hit, you know, as awful and tragic as it was, it did allow for me to get this stuff done.
Wow. Well, in the, as we say, in the cooking stage, it was well worth it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So
And there was a lot of headaches along the way, you know. I just kept hearing a voice saying, you know, be patient, because when it's done, it's going to be worth it. And I look back at it now and I'm like, it was worth it. You know, I don't want to, when I arrange and when I do stuff, I always do it not necessarily with the audience in mind because I don't have a very large audience. You know, I do it and I think, what will last? What will I be able to look back at 10 years from now and say, man, I'm glad that I took the time to do that. And this was definitely one of those things that I can look back and
absolutely.
always have a smile on my face and say, it came out exactly how I wanted it to come out.
So once we put everything out in the atmosphere and we I'm learning more and more about speaking it. Um when they look up Amen, at the time that was Vanessa Bell Armstrong, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So when you look it up again, it's gonna be a listing of, oh, this was a snippet from
yeah.
the Cosby. It was a snippet from this, and people are just like I did. It caught my attention. Not only did the video, but the parts that I saw. Like Amber was in her outfits from like something the person in the show will wear.
That's right.
And they brought it to life, especially when, again, those were the shows that we look forward to on a Tuesday night, a
Yeah.
Wednesday night, almost primetime television, like, and then the next day, after whatever the episode was in school, the next day you were talking about that show.
Yeah.
And so again, that the richness of the 90s, I can't explain it even. 80s and 90s when it came to TV series and the movies,
Hmm.
the music, um, set precedent for people like me. Like I was born in 78.
Okay. Okay.
But at that time, those movies, those TV series, Fame, and this is actually the second time I'd heard that today about Fame.
Oh wow.
Um, and it was like some things you just want to bring back because it meant so much to you when it was on.
Yeah.
You didn't know that one day it would be canceled. You
Yeah.
didn't know that the characters would change. And you'd be like, listen, if I could write in and say, bring this person back because this show won't be the same if it's no Leroy. If there's
Yeah.
no, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So um for you to bring that back into the theme songs and slide it together, it I said I have to meet whoever did this. Because I shared it. I believe,
Mm,
yes, I did. I shared it
thank
because
you.
again, it wasn't just put together. It was polished. I
Yeah,
never heard of you until then.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so
And that
that
was
is
how you're describing it exactly was the point of it. I mean, even down to, you noticed that Amber wore like something that they would have worn at Hillman College, on Different World. But we, with myself and the videographers, the video editors, if you look very closely, for each song there's a different color palette even in the backgrounds,
mhm,
and especially it's very evident when we do In Living Color, and you see the splashes of paint. We wanted even visually this to bring people back to that time, because like you said, man, in that time, the 90s, late 80s, even early 2000s, for some, these shows were more than just, oh, we're going to sit down and watch TV. This was an escape from reality. This was bringing you back to that time where things were a little bit simpler. There was an innocence. Um, and so we wanted not just musically to bring you back, but even visually, we wanted to transport you without it being too over the top and taking away from the actual performances. So if you go back and look, like when Amber sings Different World, her background is orange, and there's some light reds back there, and that's because on the original theme song of Different World, or at least from season 2 to season, I think, 5, when Aretha Franklin sang it, that was the same color palette that they were using. You had a bunch of
mhm,
oranges, and so
yeah,
we wanted visual, you wanted to bring people back to even the details like that. We wanted to bring people back to that. And so, like I said, I'm just grateful that people latched onto it the way they did, and that, it was a mission accomplished kind of moment.
yeah. I'm definitely. I don't want to wait another 3 years, but I definitely would love to see what's the next theme songs again. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
that really.
and that's the point, of this album, is that for every song there's going to be a video. So like I said, last Friday, I released Fresh Prince, and once you put it out, like you said, once you put it out there, it's out there, and it's there for people to find. And whenever you type in Fresh Prince theme song on YouTube or whatever, this will come up, and
Mhm.
so every song is going to have a visual component. It's going to have a video to it, and it may not transport you in the same way that the medley did, but it's definitely going to be something, I think, that that is just, outside of the music. It makes you want to look again and again and again.
Absolutely. So I ask this question all the time. What is a balanced life for you? Like the totality would be, um, let's see, how are you as a son? How are you as a brother? How are you? What do you do for fun? Tell the people about that.
Yeah, I'm very, very family oriented. Very, very close. I mentioned my mom 1,000 times in this already. Very close to my mom. Um, I'm her favorite son. I'm her only son, but I'm her favorite son. Close to my sister, uh, and really just as a balance. I'm an introvert naturally. I just love being home with my wife, and we don't really do much. We don't go out and hang out, and uh, I love to find a good show on Netflix, pop some popcorn, and watch it. That's my favorite pastime, watching, binging a show that I really love to binge or really love to watch. I love acting, in terms of watching it, not doing it. I love great storylines. And, my life is centered around music. So there's this, even though it's a job, I still find ways to enjoy it. And just, even if that just means listening to it or just being fans of people, I go out of my way to, be a fan, even though, like I said, this is my profession. You can't, when it's something that's this, um, normal. It's if you're a postal worker, you can figure out, you can get away from the post office. But with music, you can't get away from music. You can't get away from hearing it in the grocery store or turning on the radio when you go on a long drive. You can't get away from it. So I do the very best that I can to always be a fan of it, always learn from even the greats, the people who have died and left an incredible catalog. I try to listen to their stuff as much as I possibly can and learn from the things that they've done. They're greats for a reason. I in the bio, you mentioned that I teach a songwriting class. I teach a songwriting class to 7th and 8th graders once a week, and just seeing how their mind works. They're kids, but their minds, living in a different world, no pun intended, than what I was living in.
Right.
And so to just see how they pick up things and seeing how at the beginning, I tell a story. It's my favorite story of the year to tell. My first class, I go in and I say, okay, at the end of the year, we're gonna write a song. We're gonna go in and record it. And I had a little girl in the class with her arms folded and looking at me like I was crazy, literally like, you don't know what you're talking about. And now we're at the point where not only is she writing her own songs, but she's singing her own songs. And so I can always go back and be like, I told you so, but to just see how you tell them that they can do something and then all of a sudden they do it. It's like these kids are brilliant. All they just need to know is that they have somebody to tell them that they
So
can do it,
tell them and
you
believe them.
know. And so they tell me about, songs that they listen to, which is sometimes I have to just shake my head like, I can't believe this is what you're listening to. But they open my eyes to what's going on. And so I'm a student of music forever. And whether or not I like the things that they're listening to is what's out. It's what's there. So I have to know about it. I have to listen to it to be able to say that I don't like it or I do like
Right.
it. There are elements, you know what I mean? So just, I'm a very simple guy. I love God. I love music. I love food, and I love television. I love basketball. Playoffs started tonight. So it's not, there's not much to me. That's kind of what just keeps me balanced. Those few things.
I think with um
I'm gonna turn my light on real fast. It's starting to get.
um I think sometimes with kids, when we start them off um early, I know with me, when I listen to lyrics, it's I can take it as I'm actually talking to you. So me and my husband, we will take a song that's talking to our heart, from our heart to that person.
Yeah.
So we'll send it all day long. We go back and forth of like, okay, Earth, Wind, and Fire, You the Reasons, or different things of that nature. And I didn't per se like rap because I couldn't relate
Okay.
or I didn't know what they were talking about. But my husband is a rapper,
Okay.
but his music is totally different. A lot of his stuff is geared towards me,
Oh
even
wow.
though he's rapping.
Okay.
And he does music as well, and so do I. So again, the creativity part is my first love outside of God.
Yeah.
And you go back to your center when all else fails, when everything seems chaotic or whatever. I can always pick up a pen. I can always get to a song and bring us back to where it all began, and it's the music.
Yep.
And my appreciation of music, those who took the time out, even in our hardest times in the world, and came out with the best songs that we've heard from now. Um, and so, if you had anyone that you would want to sing or collaborate with, dead or alive, who would you want to collab with?
Oh man. I mean, obviously the it's my answers are gonna be, I think, the answers of everybody else. I unfortunately I can't think of anything more unique than this, but definitely Quincy Jones. And I had the privilege, the honor when I was with Naturally Seven. To we did a song with him. He and Ludacris for his album. But to just do that again, I adore the man. You know, I love Quincy and everything about him. Stevie Wonder, for sure, is another one of my loves, man. Uh, uh, Marvin Winans from the Winans, Kirk Franklin, John Batiste, who just won. He just won Album of the Year, and I just love his style. Um, yeah, Coldplay. So many. There's so many. There's so many. I just love when people like that are just they're creative and they pull out a different creativity within you. And I think all the people that I just named, um, that they would pull something out of me that I didn't know was there or wasn't there before. But yeah, I think I should probably stop the list there. I've been very fortunate again. Like this was the first time, that medley was the first time that I was able to record uh, with Mark and Joey from Take Six. But Take Six from the time that I was a little boy was always a huge inspiration to me. And of course with the acapella, you know, you definitely can hear that. I don't try to hide that at all. As a matter of fact, almost in every arrangement that I do, it's almost like a thank you to those guys, you know, just for still going and for laying the groundwork down that they laid. Um, Everything that I do, I try to, at least when it comes to acapella, I don't shy away from the fact that I am paying homage to Take Six, and you can never be them. So that's a comfort in knowing that some people could say, "Oh man, you sound like Take Six," but you don't really sound like Take. No one sounds like Take Six, you know. So I can try. It's one of those, you know, what is it? Reach for the stars and land among the whatever or something. It's one of those instances. Um, so yeah, Take Six for sure. So yeah, that's my list. Stevie, uh, Quincy, Take Six, Kirk Franklin, Marvin Winans. That would be it.
John
I could,
BT. Which
yeah.
people I'm a even I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm gonna throw Fred Hammond in there for you.
Oh, Fred's crazy. I mean, to
So
work with Fred would be something else.
yes, so he was the other reason why today I heard about Fame. He
Oh,
was
okay.
on an interview with Kev on stage, and I was watching it earlier today. But again, we just got to speak it into the atmosphere.
Yeah,
I won't be
yeah,
surprised if you get a call. I won't be surprised if you have more people knocking at your door versus you going to ask them.
yeah, yeah.
Because this is not going to be the end. Um, Again, you might even turn around and still be able to do the film scoring. Who knows? But at the
Yeah,
end of the day, you're still to be doing what you were designed to do,
yeah,
which is to bring glory to the earth, for everyone to see what magnificent, um, that he's capable of doing through music,
definitely,
through
definitely.
art, through connecting by visual as well as audio. Um, so I unfortunately, a whole hour goes past so fast when you're having fun.
That's right.
Um, but again, I appreciate you this evening to take a call for me,
Yeah,
for our
most
people,
definitely.
for your audience to hear the backstory, to actually have a new connection to you. I
Yeah,
had no idea, no, I had no idea
yeah.
that we're more have and more in common than we have different.
It's like you
And so
said.
I appreciate the gift that's
Thank you.
inside of you. I appreciate and I push you um in the spirit to continue to do what's already inside of you.
Thank you.
Um Whatever seeds was planted with your parents, and we're now seeing them blossom here
Mm.
and there and wherever we need the sunflower, wherever we need the rose, the tulip, whatever flower you need, it is here within him. So
Yeah.
thank you again.
Thank you for having
After
me.
the show, I will send you the link to this,
Great.
so you can share.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll be able to meet all the people that had anything to do with this, so we can sit down and see how they feel. about being honored on this TV theme
For sure.
um, broadcast that you did. Like you did that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You did that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. So again, everybody, this show was sponsored by Blacktop Street Ball Association, also bigger than the brand. Again, we believe in 6 degrees of separation. You are one person away, one advice away, and one help away from where you need to be in the destiny. And again, thank you, sir.
Thank
And
you
we
for
are
having me.
out.
All right. Have a good one.
See ya.